In this video, we are going to discuss the solidly grounded neutral system used in power systems and transformers. To understand why solid grounding is used, we will first study the ungrounded, isolated neutral system. Then, we will move on to the grounded neutral system and compare the two. We will see how the disadvantages of an ungrounded system are eliminated or significantly reduced by using a grounded neutral. Throughout this video, I will explain the concepts in detail with the help of theory, mathematical equations, and phasor vector diagrams so that you can clearly understand the subject. I hope you will enjoy this video. If you find it useful, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and share this video with as many people as possible. Now, let's begin.
Suppose this is one winding of the transformer. This is another winding, and this is the third winding. So this is a three-phase transformer. These are the terminal connections of the three-phase transformer. Say this is the R phase, this is the Y phase, and this is the B phase winding. Now say this is the ground. So there should be a capacitance between the B phase and the ground because there is dielectric air between the conductor and the ground. The conductor acts as one plate of the capacitor, the ground acts as the other plate of the capacitor, and the air acts as the dielectric medium. Therefore, a capacitance naturally exists between the conductor and the ground. Now, for exactly the same reason, there will be another capacitor between the Y phase and the ground. Similarly, there will be another capacitor between the R phase and the ground. Now say this is the neutral point. This is the interconnection point of all three-phase windings. Let the capacitance between the R phase and the ground be CR. Similarly, let the capacitance between the Y phase and the ground be CY, and let the capacitance between the B phase and the ground be CB. Now let the capacitive charging current flowing from the R phase to the ground be ICR. Similarly, the capacitive charging current flowing through capacitor CY from the Y phase to the ground is ICY, and the capacitive charging current flowing from the B phase to the ground is ICB. Now since this is a balanced three-phase system, we can write ICR plus ICY plus ICB equals 0. Please remember that this is the vector sum of the three currents. Therefore, under normal operating conditions, there is no net charging current flowing to the ground through the capacitive path. Now let us draw the voltage phasors. These are the three voltage vectors separated from each other by 120 degrees. This is VNR, where N represents the neutral point. This is VNY, and this is VNB. This point is the neutral point or the star point. Now this is the charging current ICR. Since it is a purely capacitive current, it leads the voltage VNR by 90 degrees. So this angle is 90 degrees. Similarly, this is ICY. This current also leads the voltage VNY by 90 degrees. And this is ICB. Again, this current leads the voltage VNB by 90 degrees because it is also a purely capacitive current. So this is the healthy operating condition of the system. Now let us see what happens when an earth fault occurs. Suppose an earth fault occurs at this point on the B phase conductor as shown. As soon as the fault occurs, a fault current, IF, starts flowing through the system along this fault path. Now, since the fault has occurred on the B phase terminal of the transformer becomes practically at zero potential with respect to the ground. Therefore, the voltage between the ground and the R phase terminal becomes VGR, which is actually equal to the line voltage between terminals B and R. Similarly, the voltage between the ground and the Y phase terminal becomes VGY, which is equal to the line voltage between terminals B and Y, because the B phase terminal is now at ground potential. So, the phasor diagram now changes and becomes like this. Now, obviously, the capacitive charging current supplied by the R phase also changes because the applied voltage has changed. Let us represent this new charging current by I-CR. Since it is still a purely capacitive current, I-CR leads the voltage VGR by 90 degrees.
Similarly, the capacitive charging current supplied by the Y phase becomes ICY dash. Why have we represented these currents with a dash? Because the voltage has changed. The capacitance itself has not changed. Since the applied voltage has changed, the capacitive charging current also changes. Now, the vector sum of these two charging currents is represented by IC. So, this is IC. And this is the fault current IF.
So the fault current IF is the vector sum of I-CR and I-CY. Actually, this is a vector summation. That is why we put the vector symbol above each term of the equation. Now let us again come back to the initial healthy condition. As we have already discussed, we can write ICR plus ICY plus ICB equals 0. Again, remember that this is the vector sum of the three charging currents because the system is perfectly balanced. Now let us connect the neutral point of the transformer to the ground as shown in the figure. Now suppose under this condition an earth fault occurs again on the same B phase. Let us now find out what changes take place after grounding the neutral point of the transformer. This is the earth fault and this is the neutral point. Since the neutral point is solidly connected to the ground, its potential is fixed at 0 volts. Now the fault has occurred on the B phase. Therefore, the potential of the B phase terminal also becomes practically 0 volts. Now because the B phase terminal is at ground potential, the voltage across the capacitance between the B phase and the ground becomes almost 0. As a result, the charging current through that capacitance becomes practically 0. Now let us draw the voltage phasors. This is V and R, which is the phase voltage of the R phase with respect to the neutral point. This is V and Y, which is the phase voltage of the Y phase with respect to the neutral point. Now the phase voltage V and B becomes almost 0 because the B phase terminal is directly connected to the ground through the fault path. Therefore, in our phasor diagram, we can neglect the B phase voltage and its corresponding charging current. So the phasor diagram finally becomes like this. This is the neutral point, or you can say the zero potential point. Now notice something very important. The capacitive charging current ICR remains practically the same as it was under healthy operating conditions. Why? Because as we shall see, the phase voltage of the healthy R phase does not change appreciably after the fault. Since there is practically no change in V and R, there is practically no change in the charging current. Therefore, the charging current remains ICR. And as before, it still leads the phase voltage V and R by 90 degrees because it is a purely capacitive current. Exactly the same thing happens with the Y phase. The charging current of the Y phase also remains practically unchanged. It still leads the phase voltage V and Y by exactly 90 degrees as shown in the phasor diagram. Now let us take the vector sum of these two charging currents. The resultant current is represented by ICF. In other words, ICF is the vector sum of ICR and ICY. Now let us represent this current in the circuit. Through the earth, this charging current flows towards the fault point. Therefore, we can write ICR plus ICY equals ICF. This current, ICF, flows through the earth fault path towards the fault location. So up to this point, the fault current consists only of the resultant charging current contributed by the two healthy phases. Now, because an earth fault has occurred on the B phase, the system becomes unbalanced. As a result, a neutral current starts flowing through the grounded neutral of the transformer. Let us call this current IN. This neutral current flows from the neutral point through the neutral grounding connection and finally reaches the fault point as shown in the figure. Now, this neutral current is also added to the charging current ICF. Therefore, the total earth fault current IF becomes the vector sum of the neutral current
and the charging current. So, we can write IF equals IN plus ICF. Again, remember that this is a vector equation. Therefore, we should place the vector symbol above each current. Now, instead of drawing two separate currents, IN and ICF, we can represent them by a single resultant current, IF, flowing through the earth fault path. Now, let us draw one more voltage in the phasor diagram. This is the voltage between the neutral point and the B phase terminal. We denote it by VNB. Now, please remember one important point. This voltage is drawn only as a reference for better understanding. Physically, there is practically no voltage across the B phase winding because both ends of the winding are almost at ground potential. Therefore, we have drawn VNB using a dotted line only for explanation. So, this voltage VNB is nearly equal to 0. However, it is not exactly 0. Why? Because every transformer winding has some inherent leakage reactance. Therefore, even during the fault, there will be a small voltage drop across the winding due to this leakage reactance. Since the transformer winding is predominantly inductive, this voltage drop is mainly due to inductive reactance. Now, notice what happens. The B phase winding effectively becomes short-circuited through the neutral grounding connection and the earth fault path as shown by these yellow lines. Therefore, the neutral current IN is mainly limited by the transformer leakage reactance. Since this current flows through an inductive path, IN lags the voltage VNB by approximately 90 degrees. Although VNB is very small, we can still use it as a reference to understand the phase relationship. Now, if we compare the phasor diagram carefully, we can see that the neutral current IN is almost in phase opposition to the resultant charging current ICF. In other words, the neutral current tends to oppose the charging current during the earth fault condition. This is one of the most important characteristics of a solidly grounded neutral system. Because the neutral current opposes the charging current, the conditions responsible for sustaining an arcing ground are greatly reduced. In other words, the charging current is effectively counteracted by the neutral current supplied through the grounded neutral of the transformer. As a result, the possibility of arcing ground is either eliminated or significantly reduced. This is one of the major advantages of a solidly grounded neutral system. Now, there is another important advantage of a solidly grounded neutral system. Let us compare it with the ungrounded system that we discussed earlier. When the neutral was not connected to the ground, an earth fault caused the neutral point to shift towards the faulted phase. In other words, you can say that the neutral point shifted towards the fault location. Because of this neutral shift, the phase to ground voltage of the two healthy phases increased from the normal phase voltage to the line voltage. That means the healthy phase voltage became approximately √3 times the normal phase voltage. As a result, the insulation of the healthy phases had to withstand a much higher voltage stress. Now, let us see what happens in a solidly grounded neutral system. Since the neutral point is permanently connected to the ground, its potential is always fixed at 0 volts. Therefore, the neutral point cannot shift anywhere in the electrical system even during an earth fault. Because there is no neutral shift, the phase voltages of the healthy phases remain practically the same as they were before the fault occurred. As a result, unnecessary overvoltage stress on the insulation of the healthy phases is avoided. So, this is another major advantage of a solidly grounded neutral system. Now, let us summarize the two main advantages. The first advantage is that the healthy phases do not experience unnecessary voltage rise during a single line to ground fault. And the second advantage is that the possibility of arcing ground is greatly reduced or practically eliminated. There is one more practical benefit. Suppose a lightning surge strikes the system, or any temporary overvoltage appears on one phase. Since the neutral is solidly grounded, the phase-to-ground voltages of the remaining healthy phases remain much more stable. Therefore, the overall voltage stability of the system is improved. However, every grounding method has its own advantages and disadvantages. A solidly grounded neutral system also has one major disadvantage. During an earth fault, the transformer supplies a large fault current through its grounded neutral. Therefore, in addition to the capacitive charging current, a substantial current also flows through the transformer winding and the neutral grounding path. Because this fault current can be very high, it may produce severe thermal and mechanical stresses on the transformer, cables, switchgear, and other connected equipment. If the protective relays and circuit breakers do not operate quickly, this high fault current can cause permanent damage to the system. Now, let us compare both grounding methods. The main advantage of an ungrounded or isolated neutral system is that the earth fault current is naturally limited. Since there is no intentional connection between the neutral point and the earth fault current mainly consists of the capacitive charging current of the healthy phases. And this charging current is usually very small. Therefore, the risk of equipment damage due to high fault current is also much lower. However, we have to pay a price for this advantage. Because the neutral is free to shift during an earth fault, the healthy phase voltages increase significantly. This results in higher insulation stress and also increases the possibility of arcing ground. On the other hand, in a solidly grounded neutral system, the neutral point remains fixed at ground potential. Therefore, there is no neutral shift. The healthy phase voltages remain practically unchanged and the possibility of arcing ground is greatly reduced. But in return, the earth fault current becomes much larger. So, every grounding method is a compromise. One method limits the fault current but allows higher overvoltages. The other method controls the overvoltage but permits a much higher fault current. That is why the selection of the neutral grounding method always depends on the voltage level, the system configuration, the continuity of service required, and the protection philosophy adopted for that particular power system. I hope you have now clearly understood the difference between an ungrounded neutral system and a solidly grounded neutral system. Thank you for watching.
I hope this video has helped you understand the concept clearly. If you found it useful, please like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Circuit Masterclass. Don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos on power systems, protection, transformers, switchgear, transmission lines, and other electrical engineering topics. If you have any questions or suggestions, let me know in the comment section. Thank you for watching. See you in the next lecture.